Shalom, this is JNews number 20, bringing you news and views from the land of Israel. I am Yair Davidiy. I am presenting to you the latest issue of JNews. I represent Brit-Am Hebrew Nations, an organization that researches the whereabouts of the lost in tribes and finds them amongst Western nations. The date is the 25th of November 2014, the 3rd of Kislev, in the year of creation 5775. Updates: we have information that the USA is in effect allied with Iran, with Asad, the dictator of Syria, and with the Shiites versus ISIS and the Sunnis. The Muslim world, as you know, is divided between the Shiites and the Sunnis. The Sunnis are the majority in Turkey, also in Syria, but in Syria they are ruled over by a minority, the Alawis, who are actually a pagan nation, but they are associated with the Shiites. The Shiites are the majority of the rulers in Iran. Iran borders Iraq. Iraq was ruled by Saddam Hussein, who wasn't particularly religious one way or the other, but in effect he ruled Iraq through the Sunnis. The Sunnis are a minority in the Iraqi population. After the USA invaded Iraq and took it over, they in effect demoted the Sunnis and then allowed, or it came about that the Shiite majority took control and began to oppress the Sunnis. After that we had the revolution, or the uprising in Syria, with the Sunni majority trying to depose Asad, the Alawi. Asad was allied with the Iranians, with the Iranian Shiites, and also Iranian Shiites were allied with the Shiites majority that had come to rule in Iraq. So we had in Syria, we had Sunnis rebelling against the Alawis, in effect adversaries to the Iranian-backed forces. Then along came ISIS. ISIS is a Sunni organization. ISIS is a Sunni organization. ISIS is the body that goes around cutting off people's heads and making a general uproar all over the world, and in which President Obama has decided to take down. Previously the USA had backed moderate Sunnis against Assad, against the ruler of Syria. Moderate means that they didn't kill that many people. They didn't kill people every day. They didn't cut off people's heads and move the television cameras. But it doesn't mean that they were moderate in our sense of the word. They were just as vicious and as all the other people in that region. At all events, previously the USA had more or less backed these Sunni rebels against Assad and against Iran. Now, because of what they perceive to be the danger of ISIS taking over, they are in effect backing Assad against the Sunni rebels, against the Sunni people even, and they have allied themselves with Iran and with the Shiites in Iraq. This is expressing the situation in very crude terms, but it appears to be the reality on the ground. So it's worth noting, especially in light of the recent rapport between Obama and his administration and the Iran and their nuclear program, that Iran and the USA have been drawing close together, and for some reason or other USA seems to have decided that Iranian dominance might be preferable in that region than that of any other force available. Last week, 4 Jewish rabbis were murdered, as well as one Druze policeman, by 2 Arab terrorists bearing, one of the terrorists had a hatchet and a knife, a long, big butcher's knife, and the other had a gun with a lot of clips, apparently, and they walked into the synagogue whilst the congregation was at prayer. In the middle of the prayer, they started to kill people. So they ended up killing 4 rabbis, and also one of the 2 policemen who came to the scene was also shot dead. And immediately afterwards, in the Arab society, this was celebrated, and the perpetrators of this crime have been considered heroes, and so on. As a background to what happened, it should be pointed out that recent propaganda from the Palestinian Authority, which is backed and bankrolled and supported by the EU and by other organisations, the PU has been demonising rabbis in general. They have been saying, as quoted by Palestinian Media Watch, they've been saying that the Zionist settler ideology sets the foundations for an eternal hegemony based on the instructions of the rabbis of the secret societies. They are, in other words, borrowed from classical conspiracy theory. They began to depict rabbis as the arch villains in the piece. Rabbis have become that portion of the Jewish people that is to be concentrated upon, that is to be victimized, and against whom terrorist attacks are to be perpetrated according to the Palestinian propaganda. And we have seen the results of this last week. They also say that rabbis are desecrating the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that they are enemies, and they have a hand in everything that is happening. I'm quoting verbatim from the translation of one of their pieces, or one of their propaganda pieces of the Palestinians, the official Palestinian, in effect the Palestinian government body. And so too, the Arabs are responsible for importing explosives to Arab lands in the spread of extremist ideas and the deepening of the doctrinal conflict between Sunnis and Shiites. In short, the Rabbis are responsible for doing everything that is bad in Arab eyes, and therefore the Rabbis are to be murdered, as happened. And God forbid is liable to happen again unless we do something about it. Giulio Meotti, an Italian journalist writing for Al Sheba, has pointed out that in Europe, Israel is being demonized in the media and also in the eyes of governmental officials, that Sweden, the UK, France and Spain are voting to recognize the Palestinian state, and they are also condemning Israel for everything and anything. If Israel does something, Israel is the guilty party. If something is done to the Israelis that is to Jews, they are also the guilty party for not rectifying whatever needed rectification that led to these acts of terror. And what needs rectification is existing. If you exist as a Jew, you are guilty in the eyes of Europeans. This has always been the case, and this is the case at present. And there are no two ways about it, and this is the gist of the European attitude towards the state of Israel. On Monday, 2 Jewish students were stabbed in Jaffa Gate, which is a major thoroughfare just before where the new city joins up to onto the old city. So 2 Jewish rabbinical students, people who learned Torah, were stabbed by Arabs. One of them is in a moderate condition, still in hospital, and the other has been released, but he was wounded. These are things that happen every day, all day long, but are seldom reported in the media. Even not always in the Israeli local media, let alone in the international press. Recently, an Israeli company has developed a system that can enable you to recharge your cellular phone within 30 seconds, and also it can recharge an electric car in minutes. There's always a problem. Electric cars have been around for a long time. They're quite good, they're silent, they're efficient. There's always a problem with recharging the batteries. So this new device that this Israeli company is developing may be a solution to that problem. May the Lord God of Israel bless you. Thank you.